Standard body measurements. Having a set of standard body measurements is absolutely crucial in successful pattern drafting. Taking accurate body measurements is also one of the keys to a great fit. In this session, we will see the various body measurements required in sewing garments. At the end of the session, you will be able to identify the body measurements required in sewing garments, take the body measurements using a measuring tape. Let's first familiarize with the various body measurements required for sewing different types of garments. We will also introduce you to some symbols which represent each of these body measurements and which will be used in the course later. The various body measurements are chest circumference. The chest circumference refers to the height of the chest horizontally around the body. This will be the symbol used for chest circumference. Underbust circumference. The underbust circumference is measured just underneath the bust around the body. Waist circumference. The waist circumference is measured above the navel horizontally around the body. Hip circumference. The hip circumference is the measurement around the widest part of the seat. Shoulder width. Shoulder width is measured horizontally from one shoulder bone to the other. Sleeve length. Sleeve length is the measurement from the shoulder bone to the wrist when the arm is bent. Upper arm measurement. Upper arm measurement refers to the measurement around the upper portion of the arm. Wrist. Wrist measurement is the measurement around the wrist. Neck measurement. Neck measurement is the measurement around the neck by the clavicle bones. Back length. The back length is measured from the neck till the waist. Front length. The front length is measured from the highest point of the shoulder to the waist. Outside leg. The outside leg is measured at the side of the body from the waist down to the ankle. Calf. The calf is measured around the thickest part of the calf. Ankle. The ankle is measured around the ankle. Thus, the various body measurements we have seen are the chest circumference, underbust circumference, waist circumference, hip circumference, shoulder width, sleeve length, upper arm measurement, wrist measurement, neck measurement, back length, front length, outside leg, calf measurement, and ankle measurement. We will now take all the body measurements on a person. Begin by tying a ribbon around the waistline of the body. Tie the ribbon tightly so that it sits exactly on the waistline. Then loosen it slightly to make it well fitted. The exact position of the waistline will be at the bottom of the ribbon. Now let's start measuring the different body parts needed for accurate sewing. We will first measure the bust circumference. The bust circumference is measured at the height of the bust horizontally around the body, keeping 2 fingers between the measuring tape and the body. Pass the tape around the body from the back and then bring it to the front, making sure to bring it over the tip of the bust. The bust circumference is 34 inches in our case. Next, we will measure the underbust circumference. The underbust circumference is measured just underneath the bust around the body, keeping 2 fingers between the measuring tape and body. Here it is approximately 27.5 inches. We will now measure the waist circumference. The waist circumference is measured above the navel horizontally around the body, keeping 2 fingers between the measuring tape and body. Pass the tape around the body from the back and bring it to the front, making sure not to go over the knot as it will add to the measurement. The waist circumference is 28.5 inches in our case. The hip circumference is measured around the widest part of the seat, keeping 2 fingers between the measuring tape and body. Looking from the side, we measure where the hip is out the most or the buttocks. In our case, it comes to 40 inches. We will now measure the shoulder width. The shoulder width is measured horizontally from one shoulder bone to the other. You can find the position of the bone when slowly swinging the arm. Feel where there is the most movement, that is where the shoulder bones and arm bones join, and that is where to measure the shoulder. As you can see here, it comes to 14.5 inches. The sleeve length is measured from the shoulder bone to the wrist when the arm is bent. It comes to 24.5 inches in our case. The upper arm is measured around the upper portion of the arm. In our case, it comes to 12 inches. Now we will take the wrist measurement. Here, it comes to 6 inches. Next, let's take the neck measurement. The neck is measured around the neck by the clavicle bones. It comes to 15 inches in our case. The back length is measured from the neck till the waist. In our case, it is 13.5 inches. We will now measure the front length, which is measured from the highest point of the shoulder to the waist. For the waist length, we measure from the point where the top of the shoulder and the side of the neck meet over the tip of the chest and straight down to the lower edge of the ribbon that is tied around the waist. It is 15.5 inches in our case. We will now measure the outside leg. The outside leg is measured at the side of the body from the waist down to the ankle. Here, it is 43 inches. The calf is measured around the thickest part of the calf, which is 13.5 inches here. Next, we will take the ankle measurement. Here, it is 9 inches. In this session, we have learnt to identify the different body measurements and the procedure of taking the various body measurements. Before we conclude, let's take a look at the key points. The various body measurements required for a garment are bust circumference, under bust circumference, waist circumference, hip circumference, shoulder width, sleeve length, upper arm measurement, wrist measurement, neck measurement, back length, front length, outside leg measurement, calf and ankle measurement. With that, we've come to the end of this session.